Welcome back to another episode of Detroit 360, your personal guide to all things Detroit. I'm your host, Sheila Grant. Detroit is full of art. There are some interesting statues located all over the city, some old and some new. The latest installation to call Detroit home is the 17-foot tall statue behind me called Waiting, located in Campus Martius. Now, it's garnered a lot of attention the short time it's been here, but not nearly as much as the iconic statue located just south of here. At the edge of Detroit's Woodward Avenue, a giant sits in front of the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. People from all over the world come to visit the nearly 20 feet tall figure to admire his smooth green finish and the gold symbols he holds proudly in each hand. Affectionately known as the Green Giant, the Spirit of Detroit statue has called Detroit home for the last 60 years and is considered by many to be one of the most iconic sculptures in America. The story began in 1955 when the talented artist Marshall Fredericks was commissioned to design the piece. Accepting no fee for his service, the piece was cast in Norway and shipped by sea. The statue docked in the city 3 years later in 1958. A crowd gathered for the dedication, including Fredericks and his family. But at the time, it's doubtful he knew the Spirit of Detroit would become one of his most famous pieces. But the Illinois natives' relationship with Detroit would begin some 20 years earlier.
In 1936, the city of Detroit invited architects, designers, sculptors from around the country to submit proposals for a fountain on Belle Isle. If you are familiar with the Leaping Gazelle fountain, that is Marshall Fredericks.
As the director of the Marshall M. Fredericks Sculpture Museum on the campus of Saginaw Valley State University, Marilyn Wheaton is surrounded by more than 2,000 of Fredericks' pieces. And of those, nearly all were commissions. In fact, you're probably familiar with some of them, like the Star Dream in Royal Oak, or the Siberian Ram in the Renaissance People Mover Station. How about this one? The Boy and Bear, once housed in the old Northland Mall. Walking on the grounds of the museum is like stepping into the thoughts of Fredericks. But what did he think about the Spirit piece?
The Spirit of Detroit, he considered to be one of his most important just because of how happy it made people. You know, his credo addresses that his goal for creating sculpture is to make people happy.
He was such a gentleman, such a gifted, talented guy. And you know, every time you open a closet, there's more. It's just astounding.
Scott Slocum was mentored by Fredericks and worked for him for 14 years. It's safe to say he learned nearly everything he knows about sculpting from the world-famous artist. Although Slocum wasn't around when the sculpture was made, he did get some insight from Fredericks about the original idea.
In one hand, he had a ship that would have been, I believe, representative of all the water affiliation of Detroit for shipping and manufactured goods and bringing in raw materials and that kind of thing. I don't know when the thoughts changed.
What he did was created two things that are in the hands of both hands of the Spirit of Detroit. One is the family. For Marshall Fredericks, the family unit was probably the single most important thing for him. And the other hand is the sphere that represents deity.
To learn more about the origin of the Spirit of Detroit, I searched the archives at the Coleman A. Young Municipal Center. Surprisingly, it wasn't long before I hit the mother lode.
Oh, this was before the Spirit statue even got there. This is just the marble wall there. This is something else. I see the hand being worked on in the background, the right hand. Wow.
The one thing I didn't find in the archives was who came up with the name of the statue.
When he designed that, he did not name it on that beautiful marble wall that stands behind the Spirit of Detroit. These are the words: "Now the Lord is that Spirit, and where the Spirit of the Lord is, there is liberty," Corinthians. So the word liberty, no doubt, was initiated by this biblical saying, but the people of Detroit, someone took that word and thought it was representative of all the people, I guess.
Wow. It's amazing to see how, you know, different pieces of things connected together, and how that's what it is now, the spirit of Detroit.
As good as the Spirit of Detroit looks, he can't exactly take care of himself. Meet Giorgio Gikas, the art and sculpture conservator responsible for maintaining the statue. Once a year, Gikas and his team work to keep it in pristine condition.
There are special detergents that we use, non-ionic detergents. They don't have any abrasives in it. You know, biodegradable. And, we use special waxes that we blend here, petroleum-based waxes.
The icon is actually made of bronze, which requires a special process to preserve its look.
We're applying a chemical called cupric nitrate and heat on the surface of the bronze. And we heat up the surface, we apply the chemical, heat up the surface, and then next thing you know, everything's turning green.
Despite being made in the 1950s, the quality of the Spirit rivals most modern pieces.
The thickness of the Spirit is probably like 3/8 of an inch to almost 1/2 of an inch some areas, to where this is only like 14 to 12 gauge of a thin sheet of bronze.
Distinguished in every aspect, people still enjoy having fun with him. In the past, whenever a local sports team reached a significant amount of success, the Spirit would find himself flaunting the appropriate jersey. However, there have been more racy interactions as well.
In the 80s, during the nocturnal hours, someone, probably an Irishman, because it was on St. Patrick's Day night, someone drew big green feet in paint from the Spirit of Detroit to the sculpture of the nude woman in front of the Yamasaki building just across the street. So it gave the impression that the Spirit of Detroit walked over and greeted the nude lady or whatever. It got a lot of press.
In 1998, Marshall Fredericks died at the age of 90 and worked 4 days up until his passing. Known as a public artist, his legacy lives on through his magnificent sculptures planted across the country. But for Detroiters, there's one in particular that holds a special place in their hearts.
The feeling of working on a sculpture like that is tremendous. You're very proud. You drive by there, and every time you look at it and say, hey, I did this, you know.
He's a welcoming image of Detroit, to everybody who comes by.
The Spirit of Detroit was a gift. It was a true gift of love.
To learn more about Marshall Fredericks and his creations, visit the Marshall M. Fredericks Sculpture Museum at Saginaw Valley State University. Recently, we featured a couple videos from a young vegan chef. I was able to get my hands on a sneak peek of her vegan burger recipe. Now I'm going to head inside to gather up a few ingredients and hopefully recreate this yummy looking dish at home. And I want you guys to stay tuned to this next piece, and hopefully you can do the same. Bon appetit!
Mom's out at Aunt's birthday party, so I decided I'd come in the kitchen, of course, and I'd make another great recipe, veggie burgers. But I'm Jay Lauren, and I'm a 12-year-old who loves to cook healthy food, and I decided I'd share it with you. So let's get on into the video. So if you're on a vegetarian or vegan diet, beans are a great way to get your protein, and this veggie burger is made out of beans. Don't forget, I'll leave all of the ingredients and the recipe and all the measurements down in the description box below. Now for this, you're gonna need some corn, rice, breadcrumbs, black beans or red kidney beans, some seasonings, and a squirt of ketchup. Now let's start. Now we're just gonna add in our beans, rice, corn, breadcrumbs, ketchup. So now we're just gonna season it up. This is just a steakhouse seasoning. Add a little bit of that and a little bit of pink Himalayan sea salt. All right, now let's blend it up. Now in the middle, we're just going of blending it. We're just gonna kind of mix it all together to get stuff that hasn't been blending. All right. Now when you have a nice thick, like creamy consistency and pretty much everything's all blended up, it's ready. So this is kind of what your consistency should be like. You want a little bit of like whole beans and whole corn, but for the main part, everything should be all blended up. This would be a good time to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. Now to make the patties, I'm just gonna wet my hands really fast. And now we're gonna get to it. So I'm just gonna take about a spoonful, a nice spoonful and a half probably. And we're just gonna kind of roll it out and make it into a patty shape. I'm gonna make it about this size, about the palm of my hand. All right. Now here are our final patties, and we're just gonna put them in the oven for about 15 minutes, and halfway through we're gonna flip them. Okay, we're back and the patties are ready. They look really good. Now, you want them to be really crispy on the outside and a little bit like squishier on the inside or less firm. And you can kind of feel that when you touch the patty. And now we're gonna make a sauce to go along with it. Now for our sauce, you're gonna just need some relish, sweet relish, ketchup and mustard, and some vegan mayo. Now this is just mayo. This is the best vegan mayo I've found so far. And you're just gonna take a little bit of that, put that in there. All right. Now we're just gonna mix together our sauce. And that's what your sauce should look like. It's really nice, like that kind of cream color. Now we're gonna put the burger together, and I have some onion, tomato, lettuce, and the sauce. So I'm just gonna take a patty, go for this one, and I'm gonna put on the tomato, some lettuce shreds, a little bit of onion. Here, I'll put the sauce on this side. Okay, that looks really good. And in half. Yeah, doesn't this look so good? Now, I hope that I helped your family eat a little bit healthier. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And
Ooh, I'm telling on you.
not again. Bye, guys.
Cheerleading is a sport that's evolved over the years. It's changed so much since I was in school. But one thing remains the same, this unpredictable weather, like this wind I'm dealing with today. Cheer squads still support athletic teams, but competitive cheer has become such a major factor. Now, aside from the physical aspects of cheering, cheer teams also learn the importance of team building, confidence, and leadership skills. This next piece focuses on one of Detroit's decorated squads.
Yes, because as soon as you do this, now you're going further away. That's why I say stay on the line, start on the line. Because if you don't, you're going to keep going this way.
I am Pushpot. I am director of Motor City Healy. It's a travel all-star competitive cheer team ages 5 to 18. We service young ladies from all the metro surrounding area suburbs, even as far as Ohio.
Yes! Y'all better go ahead.
How did I get into cheerleading? Well, first of all, I moved up here from Mississippi. I'm not from Detroit. I'm from Mississippi. So when we moved up here, we moved in Detroit on Homer Street. So on Homer Street, there was this garage at the end of the block. And so it used to be boys going down there. And they would come in one set of clothes, but when they came out the garage, they was in another set of clothes. Unbeknownst to us from the South, we don't see football down there like that. They had on football gear. So we like, where they going? Maybe 2 years after watching them come out the garage, we said, Mom, can we go, where they going? Because we know where they're going, and there's girls up there, So finally she said, yeah. That started the cheer thing. So it was the West Side Cubs, and that's my foundation. When it was time to cheer, my mind was like, not cheer. I want to run it. I want to, at the age of 10, okay, I'm like, I think I just want to be the coach. You know what I mean? So my sister cheered, my cousin cheered. I'm in the bleachers. I'm like, I would do this if this was like this, and I would change this. That's just, you know what I mean?
She need to round out backhand spring in with some face. Set. Come on, Denasia. And your toss. Can y'all do her toss one time?
I never cheered for the West Side Cubs. I was a head coach at the age of 16. I became a head coach. My first head coaching position, my first place was at 16. And so now at PAL, you have to be 21 to be a head coach.
In the stunts. Just put her up into a cradle. 7, use your knees. 3, good. 5. You sat down. You sat down. Look, hands up, hands up. So bounce, ride the toss, ride up, turn. Keep your feet together. Look, you can't sit down. Lay down. Hands up. Your hands, this is what your body, now put your hands right here. That's what you're supposed to do. Not sit down, don't do this. Do that.
Motor City Heat applied for a Motor City match 2 years ago, and we were awarded space. And I went down, and we're in the process of still looking for buildings. My holdup is high ceilings.
Hold her. Because if it's rocking now, it just might rock tomorrow. Make sense?
We are a Motor City Heat Elite team, and we're practicing for a competition tomorrow. My position, I'm a flyer, and I do stunts, and I toss up in the air.
Nice, Tony. 6, 7, breathe. 1, 3, 10 up 5, squeeze 7. 1, little 3, good 5, 7, good 1, 3.
I would encourage young kids to be in competitive cheer because I feel like they would have a lot of fun, and we get to bond a lot with our sisters, and we just a family. And I think they would have a cool experience being able to travel and being on the stage and getting awards and things like that.
Coach Leah, what you been over there putting together? Hi, y'all. Yeah, Kimora. I'm Coach Mack. I am one of the coaches. I help Coach Pot. She's the director. I help her with pretty much all the teams. So anything she needs me to do, I'm there for her. I like to pretty much do a lot of tumbling because that's my background. And then the cheer kind of comes in addition to. So I'm just here for whatever is needed and pretty much stunting, tumbling, and screaming at the girls when necessary.
My favorite part about competitive cheer is you get to do more things, like you get to do cool stunts, and you get to do more tumbling, and you have to wear cool uniforms, and it's a bigger stage, a bigger crowd, and it's really fun. And you can get trophies too, which I don't think you can get in sideline cheer.
My position in Motor City Heat is I'm a base. I've been on Motor City Heat for 4 years. We've been a lot of places. Been to Florida, Chicago, a lot of places. Yeah, we get a lot done. First year was kind of shaky because it was the first year. Last year we got first for 8 competitions straight.
One, up 3, over 5, 7, 1, 3, up 5, good 7, 1, 3,
I interviewed with Dwayne Hurt. I'll never forget it. I was a nervous wreck. And I had my resume. He opened the resume. I guess he looked at it and was like, no college. He closed it. He said, me and you, let's talk. He said, tell me what can you do for Detroit, pal? The rest is history. He saw something that paper couldn't see. This, what I'm doing, don't need a degree. This is what you need. So he made me realize that you know what I mean? So your knowledge of what you do, your passion for what you do with these girls, you bring that here, let's do it. So All-Star, man, lights, camera, action, bling, flashy, big bows, the more bling, the shinier. You got 2 minutes and 30 seconds to do a jump section, you have to do a stunt section, you have to do a running, tumbling section, you have to do a standing tumbling section, then you have a pyramid, and then you have a dance. So all that in 2 minutes and 30 seconds, but staying in shape, and to try to come out on top, right? Yeah, it's flashy, it's busy. It's not like high school competitive, you stop, you go, round 1, round 2, round 3. No, it's all 3 rounds together, but with the glitz and glam.
One more time, let's give it up for the Motor City Elite Fire.
With tumbling, judges look for, of course, they look for how do you land. The landing is important. Landing clean, chest up, you know. If your hands are going to go up in blaze or your hands going to go down in blaze, or if you're going to land here, you know, everything needs to snap and everything needs to be tight. Technique is everything. There's one side of the score sheet that says the difficulty. The other side of the score sheet says technique. That technique side is the difference between first, second, third, last. So now juniors and seniors are going to Florida, to the Florida finals. Of course, seniors got a paid bid, juniors got a partial bid. So parents are gung-ho, believe in their kids, so do I. Let's do it.
If you like these stories and want to see more, subscribe to our YouTube channel at City of Detroit and follow us on social media at City of Detroit and at Stories from DET. Well, that's it for this week's episode of Detroit 360. I'm your host, Sheila Grant. Thanks so much for watching.